I mentioned before I went to over 270 communities out of the 422 we have in Alberta. And been up and down Main Street, been into a lot of homes, and I can almost guarantee you that you could blindfold me and plop me in pretty much any town in this province. Sit me at a kitchen table and put a glass of water from the tap in front of me. And when you take that blindfold off, I'll sample the water. And if the water is clean and crisp and it doesn't have a lot of bubbles or sodium and it doesn't have an odor and it tastes really good, I'll almost guarantee you I'll walk out of that house and walk down around town, and I will see new homes and I'll see new businesses and I'll see stuff like communities in bloom and a clean Main Street and a town that seems to be proud of itself. But if you take the blindfold off and the water has smells, or it has sodium in it and it's bubbly and it doesn't taste well and it just is bad quality water, I will almost guarantee you when I walk around town, I will see small old houses, boarded up houses, closed Main Street businesses, and that dungy, dirty town. Traveling around, I did a bit of an informal survey around the 270 communities I went to. And it was really interesting to me that there were so many communities that had 1,000 to 1,500 people that had one grocery store. I would go in and talk to the grocery store owner and I'd say, so how's business going? And they would always say, 1,500 people, one grocery store. We sure don't need another grocery store because I can barely make a living. I can, you know, it's tough to feed the kids. I got to put them through college. It's really hard. So we definitely don't need another grocery store. But I would ask them, because I would go to communities of 1,500 with 2 grocery stores, and almost every single time, both grocery store owners would tell me, yeah, things are pretty good. You know, you got to work for it, but things are pretty good. It seemed so counterintuitive. 1,500 people, 2 grocery stores. You would imagine they each get 750 of the 1,500 people in town. They'd be doing poorly. Well, one grocery store with 1,500 people would have the exclusive market. They'd have 1,500 people. They should be doing better. Why was it the other way around? 1,500 people, one grocery store, person wasn't doing well. It's because people demand price, quality, selection, and service. Those 4 things: price, quality, selection, and service. And without competition in a town of 1,500 people, people would drive somewhere else to get price, quality, selection, and service. With only one grocery store in town, people thought, no, they got bad beef, they don't have fresh vegetables, they're paying through the nose for this, they have no service. So when they drove 20, 30, 40 miles down the road to the next town, that's when they'd buy their groceries. So the one grocery store owner with no competition, who didn't have to offer price, quality, selection, and service, really only had a few hundred people in town shopping there. While the other town of 1,500 people with 2 grocery stores competing on price, quality, selection, and service had all 1,500 people or 1,400 people shopping locally. That's why they were doing better. But it's so counterintuitive, isn't it? And that's why so many times our small towns think, no, we don't need another competing business. We all like the notion of competition. All of us do. We're in a capitalist system. That is, of course, unless we're the ones being competed against. Then we don't often like it very much. In fact, there was a H-town. 3 examples. And believe it or not, all 3 of these examples come from the same town. This isn't a compilation from different towns. These 3 examples come from the same town. First, in H-town, I found out the fast gas, wanted to come to that town. They approached the town. They wanted to buy some land. They were looking to advertise for employees. They wanted to get the development permits, everything underway. For a year, they worked at it and got nothing. They couldn't get the land permits. They couldn't get the development permits. They couldn't get anything. And they finally said, forget it, and they went somewhere else. Fast gas never came to town. And then I found out the mayor at the time owned a shell across the street where Fast Gas wanted to build and didn't want the competition. Let's call the mayor of the time Bradley. His last name Bradley. John Bradley. I'm making up this name, okay? John Bradley, the mayor of the town, didn't want the Fast Gas. Still to this day, and this happened 15 years ago, still to this day, everyone refers to his place as having a Bradley tax. There's no competition. Everyone knows when you go to the Shell station that Bradley owns, you pay Bradley premium tax. It's his own markup of 5 or 6 or 8 cents higher than what everybody else has because he knows he's the only game in town. Funny enough, Bumper to Bumper wanted to come to the exact same town. Same problem. They tried to get the development permits. They tried to get the building permits. They tried to get the land. They tried to do everything. Chased out of town. Finally, they gave up. They went 20 miles down the road to the neighboring community and set up shop. Turns out, this is the same town, remember, the new mayor at the time, when Bumper to Bumper came to town, the new mayor managed the Acklins and didn't want the competition. And I even had the secretary of the town, the first person at the door when anyone came into the town's office, tell me, admit to me, that yeah, she chased away a lot of business. There were countless welders that came through that said, I'm looking for a commercial lot. I want to buy a commercial lot. I want to build a business. I want to hire more lawyers. There's lots of activity in this town. And she would say, no, the activity is actually in decline. There's no lawyers. You can't buy the house here. We don't have any commercial lots for sale. Sorry. For everyone who was a welder. Why? Because her husband was a welder and she didn't want him to have the competition. And she admitted that to me. This is all in one town. All in one town. And I still have people from that town phone me once in a while and say, when's the government going to make it possible for us to drag business into this town?